I am making paper snowflakes. These are started off with a square bit of paper. You want to fold it in half along the long diagonal, and then again to get a smaller triangle. The smaller triangle is then folded into three. Having folded it into three, I'm then going to cut the short edge of my triangle off, and then we shall cut it out into a snowflake shape. So to start off, I've drawn a snowman on there, and you can see that the two long edges of the triangle, I have made sure that some of that is intact. You can't cut all of that because that is what actually holds the snowflake together. And then I'm going round, and it's easier just to cut in each time. So if you're cutting into a corner, cut in and then cut in from the other way rather than trying to turn round, because you've got 12 bits of paper that you're cutting through each time. And I'm using kitchen scissors here because they're just fairly robust. And then when you open it out, you can see I've got 12 snowmen there. If you don't happen to have square paper, because quite a lot of paper isn't square, if you do the first fold for a triangle as if it was a square bit of paper, then you can see which bit you don't need. Then you can fold it again, bearing in mind that the long edge that you've just cut is going to be the edge that is the short edge once you've folded it into three, and the angle in the bottom is 30 degrees. So if you want to use a protractor, you can use a protractor. Right, I've now got a few other shapes here that I've done. Like I said, you've got to make sure that on the long edge some of it is intact, but just to give you an idea of what other cutting patterns you can do, when you open them out, these are what they look like. So that looks like a reasonable snowflake. This one was starting to look a bit more like a doily, but like I said, it's just a question of experimentation and making sure that some of that long edge on both sides is intact, because that's the edge that holds it together. So here we've got a Christmas tree. You've just got to bear in mind that the narrow bit on the trunk needs to be slightly narrower than you're expecting to, because by the time you open it out, it's going to be wider than it was when you started. And because I've done this down the edge, I've only got 6 of them, but that's effectively a 6-pointed snowflake. It's just Christmas trees. And there you've got a hexagon in the middle where the bottoms of the pots meet. And there's a couple more on here. Like I said, just to give you an idea of what shapes you can cut. You see, there's not much holding those together, but enough. And by the time you've opened it out, it looks a fairly reasonable snowflake shape. So if you cut the point off your triangle, the point is what gives the hole in the middle. But yeah, it's a lot of experimentation, and this one I quite liked because it was more of a snowflake shape. But again, you've got to keep the centre fairly narrow, because once you've opened it out, it's then double the width it was. So the centre one, when you're cutting it, wants to be half the width of the other ones. And then this one's just a lot of squiggles in. And again, this one's looking a little bit more like a doily than a snowflake. But like I said, once you've the difficult bit is to get the folding. Once you've got the folding, then you can open them out and you'll get quite good snowflakes. Some of them will look a bit more like doilies, but hey.